Hey, flower friends. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler, dropping in here for something I have not done in a really long time. I'm going to do a little seed starting right here on Instagram Live. I thought there's a lot of us doing a lot of seed starting right now, or maybe wanting to learn more about it. And as I was preparing actually just to sow a few vegetable seeds, that aren't our main crop here on my flower farm, right? And I thought, you know what? I should just jump on Instagram and do it live. So I'm going to do that. But first, I've just been showing off this little booger and all of her sisters. For anyone that doesn't recognize this, this is a eucalyptus plant. This is the polyanthumus. We call her Pollyann. And she and her sisters are pretty darn gorgeous. Look how beautiful. I mean, this is what happens to you, y'all, when you start farming. Things that you never noticed before in life all of a sudden get you so excited. And that, for me, is roots. The roots on this little guy, you can see they're just being air pruned here. So for anyone that's not familiar with eucalyptus, eucalyptus is a super slow grower. So that makes it challenging. We actually started this seed January 9th. Now, what is today, like it's March 29th. And we started in the small block, and then I bumped it up. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But this is quite a trophy, y'all. Not everybody can do this, because do you know how many ways you can kill a transplant in 3 months? A lot of ways. Overwatering, underwatering, overheating, underheating, the whole 9 yards, right? But Pollyann is doing great. And so I thought that I would, here's just if you wanted to see, she has a bunch of sisters. And this is actually pulled off of my big tray that's out on the carport. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with soil blocking or not. I thought I'd show you off some of the babies, and then I'm going to actually make some soil blocks, and then I'm going to sow some seeds. So this is the small block. This is on this little tray is 40 plants, and this is Audra Gumphrina, and this is the white. And literally, this was taken off the heat yesterday. They were started March 26th. They're 3 days old, right? And can you see? They're still in the process of popping. You can see there's more coming. But the thing that I have to really speak to a lot, because we do it a lot different than many people do, we literally grow this plant up in this size block and plant it out in the garden. There is no bumping up. I'm going to tell you, as commercial flower farmers, we don't have time for all that kind of, it's all about streamlining, y'all. And by starting your plants at the proper time for the type of seed starting method you're using, means that you can streamline this. So we start Gumphrina about 4 weeks before we're going to plant it out. And so these guys were started, again, they're 3 days old, and that's 40 plants. And look at this. Here's some plants that are ready. This is the size to go to the garden pretty much. This is some basil, which we started as a demonstration crop. You know, I do a lot of shows and stuff, and we have to have babies to show, right? So these are really, can't even be planted out. Let's see, mid-April. So these will never make it to the garden, right? And so, but this is the size that we're really looking for. And I'm just going to kind of manhandle these a little bit. So literally, this is how I pick them up off the tray to actually plant them. I place them, and these were just watered, so I've now got a wet hand. Literally, I just break off the block, and look at that. So does this say, these were started March 3rd? So these are like 23 days old. You can see they're already beginning to put up some sprouts. But do you know what a transplant would look like in a container that's 3 to 4 weeks old? It would be totally wrapped, right? The roots would be all wound up. But this little guy is ready to go to the garden. So what drew me to soil blocking 28 years ago when I started flower farming is how space savvy it is. So this is a little 5-inch by 5-inch tray with 20 plants ready to go to the garden, right? it's space savviness, because you all may not know that I don't have any hoop or greenhouses. I never have throughout my commercial life. I live in the middle of the city, and they just really don't let me have one. So I had to figure out how to start a lot indoors in a very small space. So soil blocking is super space savvy, and I just had to share this one with you. This is a tray of 100. This is Chief Coxcomb. March 17th is when this was started. So that's what, 12 days old. And this is 100 of the small blocks on here. And they will grow in this block until they go out to my garden, right? So they will get about 2 more weeks of growth, maybe even 3, before they go out to the garden. I need to find a paper towel, y'all. My hand's all wet. So this was really a very unplanned thing. I literally came out here to sow. My husband has a thing for jalapeno peppers, and I wanted to be sure they got sown. And then lastly, I will show you just once again, this is a different type of coxcomb. And this little tray has 20 plants on it. They'll grow in this block until they go out to the garden. Now, if you don't forecast properly and you start 8 weeks before it's time to plant, of course this little block's not going to work. But what we've learned is because soil blocked plants tend to grow faster than conventional methods, and it's strictly because the roots are not in a container, y'all, and the roots get so much oxygen, it's like fuels their growth. So you start later for soil blocking, and if you hold yourself accountable for that, you'll have amazing transplants to plant out in the garden with the least amount of, no, we don't thin, we don't bump up, all those things that don't sound like much until life gets busy, right? So I am going to turn this camera down now and show me making some soil blocks. And another reason I decided to come on here is we have a special offer going on, and anybody that's interested in soil blocking supplies and tools over in our phone app only. This is not available on our website. We have a kit going on that's in there that's not available usually, and a special daily special on our soil blocking tool set. You can comment app here and go check that out after the live is over if you want. Go in there and you can watch videos, but you can also shop. And the soil blocker set is on special through Sunday morning at 8 a.m. and the big complete kit is available in there. So this is the soil blocker that I use 95% of the time. This is the small blocker. It's the one I've used for over 2.5 decades. I start most seeds in this block. Marigolds, zinnias, those are the ones, and cosmos, all of them. And you'll see when I make the larger block, which is the 2-inch blocker. So on that tray, well, let's just look at that. So we're gonna make blocks to go on this tray for kale. So this tray will hold 2 sets of 20 or 2 sets of 4. So you can either get 8 blocks or 40 blocks. So I hope that resonates. It's like you always choose the size block that's the smallest, that'll grow well, to make the most out of your space. If you don't have a space constraint, that's not a problem, but most of us do, right? So this is the small blocker, and the blocking mix is always a point of discussion, right? And so the recipe that we follow, as well as the ready-made mix, is always available on our website. And it actually comes with your blockers when you get them. But I think the most surprising thing about blocking mix is we do not use sterile mix. This is basically based on compost, either cocoa fiber or peat moss, and some nutrients. It's the opposite. Y'all are watching my chin move, right? It's the opposite of what most seed starting mixes are, because think about it. If you're putting mix inside a little container, whether it's a cell pack or a little pot, you want it to be light and fluffy so air and water can just pass through it, right? Well, that is the complete opposite of what you want for soil blocks, because I could never pick up this block and handle it and have it hold up throughout its growth period in the tray if it was crumbly, light, and fluffy, right? So blocking mix is actually much denser than what most people realize. And it's kind of a false illusion when you look like one of the size bags of blocking mix that we sell is a 6-quart bag. I mean, it's like an oversized lunchbox, our lunch bag. And people look at it and think, well, how much could that make? Well, that makes 600 of those little blocks, right? So it's surprising how far your blocking mix will go. And so we recommend sifting all blocking mix or all seed starting mix. I don't care where you got it. Our ready-made mix that we sell, we sift it. Everything has little chunks in it, y'all. And those chunks are what make it alive, and it's good stuff. You want to just put that in your garden or put it into a big pot. It's just not made for little teeny chambers, right, to be filled. So we recommend sifting, whether it's the ingredients for you to make your own blocking mix at home or the ready-made mix to actually get those chunks out. Then the other surprising thing to people is how wet the blocking mix is. Making it wet is actually what makes it come out of the blocker a whole lot easier. If you struggle to get it to come out, it's not wet enough. And basically the ratio is 1-3, meaning 3 parts of your blocking mix to 1 part water. And this is my measure. We have a couple of these. This is an 8-cup measuring cup. So it's 3 scoops of dry mix in this dumped in here, then 1 scoop of water. And that makes about the right ratio. You don't want it to be soggy, but you want it to be like moist oatmeal. And if you have trouble, again, it's because the blocking mix is not wet enough. And it's easier to make blocks with too wet of a mix. It's a mess. Than it is when it's too dry. And speaking of messes, I see folks making blocks, and I just want to share with you, it does not have to be a messy situation. You have to, what drove me to be this way is years ago when I launched the Gardener's Workshop back in 2005, the retail goods part of my business, I was actually doing demonstrations and workshops in people's homes. Like, think Pampered Chef. That's how I set my business up when it was first launched, like a direct sales company, right? And we had reps in 9 states, y'all. That's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, we were doing this in people's living rooms, like on Oriental rugs and stuff. So I learned to do it and perfected my method by, you don't have to have gloves on. You don't have to make a mess. You don't have to get your hands dirty. So I'm going to do it. And I just want you to keep that in mind, because the other part of getting it all on your hands is it's a little gritty and it'll really make your hands. I hear people talking about how it hurts their hands. And I'm telling you, we make over 100,000 blocks a year with these little tools, and we don't get that. And I think it's because of the way that we actually do it. So I thought I'd show you guys my technique. So the other thing is, you really want to use a tub that actually has sides to it. Something like a kitty litter box works really, really well because you mix water with it, right? And so this is a potato masher, y'all. And again, if you're interested in any of this stuff, I don't have a potato masher in my store, but all of this equipment and courses and all of that, and it's available on a special offer through tomorrow morning in our app. You comment APP and we'll DM you the link to get the app. It's free. Go in and check out the show from yesterday and the specials. All right. So I use a potato masher to make a pile, because you have to have something to drive your blocker in, right? It's a two-handed job, y'all. What I see so many people doing is sliding their hands like this and pushing it down, and they're in fact pushing the plunger as they're trying to fill it, and you just get your hands dirty. Two-handed job. Literally, you're just pushing it down into the mix a couple of times. And then I use the potato masher to strike off the bottom. And I'll tell you this too, I'm actually working on a high table, because the camera was already on here, and it's a little higher than what I've been working height. So another piece of soil blocking that we really tweaked the method on 25 years ago is we use flat bottom trays, meaning no ridges and no drainage holes, because this means that it becomes a tabletop option, meaning you can do it anywhere in your home, wherever, and water's not running all over the place, right? So you place your blocker on the tray and you pull up and push the plunger, and just that quick, y'all, we just made 20 containers, right? And we'll do it again. You push down into the moistened blocking mix, and then we strike it off. You know, you want the bottom to be flat, right? So it sits on the tray properly and it gets water appropriately. And you never put the blocks right up against each other. You always leave a little space so that water can flow around the tray. And friends, just that darn quick, we made 20 more containers. And so I am going to actually, I've already made a couple of trays. And you know, I'm here by myself today. I don't have my team here, and so I'm just thinking through, so how am I gonna sow seeds? And I'm gonna show you the masking tape hack also. So let me move this for right now and see how we can do this. I'm gonna try not to break their setup. So I'm gonna actually sow Stevie's jalapenos so that gets done. So first off, I wanna just mention you, these trays, these are foam trays, but you can see we use them for years. This is last year's big beef, and we use them forever. So the way that we mark our trays, I wonder if I can do this both ways. Let me talk for a minute, y'all. The way we mark our trays is we use just plain masking tape and our garden marker. You can find that over on the app also. This is a garden marker that is made to withstand UV rays and moisture. Your words will not disappear, y'all, ever. I mean, I say ever, couple years. So I write on the tape, and if you don't mark as you're doing it, I'm telling you, you're better than me if you don't forget, because I forget. Well, it's just impossible. I mean, we have thousands of seedlings in there. If you don't, hey, Tucker's right at my feet, whoever, Grandma, Tucker is finally laid down. If you see me just drop out of sight, I've tripped over the dog that's laying right behind me. All right, so these are jalapenos. And Steve loves to eat jalapenos when they're really small. He likes to eat them fresh, and then I pickle them for the winter. All right, so I'm putting my tape on, and I'm going to show you how I sow the seeds. And now wait a minute, y'all. I know exactly what I need to do. So y'all are like my guinea pigs. I haven't done this in a long time like this. I'm going to bring my little table over, and I think this will work actually much, much better. I think if this arm comes undone, y'all, I'm done. All right, let me do this. This will make it so y'all can really see how I sow the seeds. Every time I move this, I think if it comes apart, holy cow, I'm done. All right, this is better. So I have my jalapeno seeds, and I have my tray. And so the method to our madness is we use, we use an aluminum seed pan. And when you go over to the app, and I keep saying the app because the special offer that's good through tomorrow morning is not available on our website. The special is that the soil blocking set, that means the small one and the large one and the inserts, are 20% off, and that just doesn't happen very often. We had it on our show yesterday. And then also we have the complete kit, which is like the soil blocking stuff, the grow light, the heat mat, seeds, row cover, fertilizer, it's everything, which normally has additional shipping because it costs like $25 to ship it anywhere. It's only $9.95 shipping in the app until tomorrow morning. So get the app if you want. Oh, thank you. All right, so let me, And I don't know if this will work. I don't know if Instagram, maybe I do need to make this a little higher. I can't get the, wait a minute, y'all. I'm building a little, I'm looking for stuff to use. Maybe this will work. I'm afraid the comments are in the way. Oh, did I just turn a filter on? Apparently. Gosh. They leave me alone and I'm like messing stuff up. All right. This is our sifter, by the way. Love that darn thing. So I'm just trying to get my tray up above. That's not working either. Here we go. Needs to come back here further. All right. So we use an aluminum seed pan because I still have a filter on. Maybe not. There's no static electricity. And we use a toothpick with a little saliva on it, y'all. And you just can't believe how fast you can sow seeds when you are not fighting static electricity, right? All right, so I'm gonna put a few seeds. All right. Normally, when I do big trays, I spit in the corner of the tray. Spit is stickier than water, y'all, if you didn't know that. But I'm not spitting on Instagram, pretty sure. And when you touch that toothpick to a seed when there's no static electricity, it'll change your world. So what I'm gonna do first is just place the seeds right on the surface of the block, right? And then I'm gonna push them home because pepper seeds need to be covered, right? And I don't know if you've ever tried this, because we grow a lot of peppers around here, you know, that for cut flowers too, the rooster peppers. Sometimes soaking your pepper seed for about an hour before you sow them to help soften the shell can go a long way in helping your germination if you have that problem. We don't typically have it. Oh, I need more seeds. What do I do with them? So I'm only going to plant about half of these 20s. Nobody needs 20 jalapenos. Steve eats them, but he doesn't eat that many. Well, these are not cooperating. All right, so I'm gonna just do one more. So the lack of static electricity, a little spit, and a toothpick to get the seed on the block. And I'll do a different seed in a few minutes that shows you like celosias and those little tiny seeds, how easy it actually goes. So when I have seeds like this that are kind of big and it says on the seed packet that you need to actually cover the seed, I just push it in deeper. You just tilt it up on its edge like it's a little frisbee. And I got new glasses, y'all, and sometimes I can't see so good up close. I'm learning. So I'm just tilting it up and pushing it in. Tilting it up and pushing it in. And that's all that it takes. You don't need to be putting more soil on top of it or any kind of stuff like that. And, you know, not only that's just a waste of time, but when you're farming, you don't have time to do extra steps, and you don't need to when you do it the correct way, right? So I'm just pushing it down in there. And then, of course, particularly with peppers, any warm season annuals, they have got to be put onto a seedling heat mat and grown in a warm environment. A really frequent flyer question that I get is, you know, my plants don't grow as fast as yours do, Lisa. And it's because they're like trying to grow them in a cool garage. It's not a good idea. I mean, my grow room temperature, this time of the year, because my room is either a cool room or a warm room, meaning annuals. It's warm now. That means it is going up like upwards of 80 to 90 degrees in the afternoon. It's warm here today. The sun is shining. It's bright outside. There's a heat mat going in that room and a bunch of grow lights. So it heats right up. Well, that just fuels warm season tender annuals. So can you see here? So you can barely see those seeds, and they're down in there enough that the sides of the seeds are going to get moist. That's a really big part of it too, is the seed actually getting moisture on the outside shell so it just breaks free and the little embryo can actually pop through. All right, so I actually labeled that one. And if you're just joining us here, I am sowing seeds in soil blocks. This is our green tray. This holds 100 of the small blocks. And this is, we were trying to figure out, these were started on the 17th of March. Today's the 29th. So they're 12 days old. This is Chief Gold Coxcomb. And you can start a lot of seeds in a really small spot. So I'm gonna, now let's see what seed I have to sow. Let's see what these look like. I haven't sown kale in a long time. So I don't know if any of you, if you're under 50, this probably won't even play into your field, but I'm 64 and my doctor is like all over me to eat more foods that are rich in calcium and vitamin D. And guess what is on the list over and over again is kale. For bone loss, osteoporosis, which is in my family. So we're really fighting that. And and she's actually one of my flower farming school students. Can you believe it? You're my rheumatologist. How incredibly crazy is that? But anyway, so when I went in to see her a couple of weeks ago, she said, you should definitely start talking about eating kale and certain vegetables and broccoli. And starting them from seed. You're such a great teacher and people maybe will actually do it because she hates to put people on drugs, which I'm not on drugs. Walking and eating better food will change your world, y'all. All right, so now I gotta put my jalapenos back. And so those jalapeno seeds are gonna go in onto the seedling heat mat. And once 50% of them show signs of life, they move from the heat mat over to a grow light. They're never on both at the same time, y'all. You'll really toast. So these are tinier seeds, but you always read your seed packet instructions. This says, start seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before planting out, or you can sow it directly in the garden. Sow seeds 1/4 inch deep and cover with soil. Allow 5 to 10 days to germinate. Then it tells you how much to space it and all that good stuff. So, you know, I often get asked, why don't you just sow them out in the garden? There is a reason that most commercial growers choose to always start indoors when that's an option, because it's less labor, more success. Because think about this, if I planted seeds out in the garden, during the time that it takes the seed to sprout and to grow into, say, the size of what a transplant would be, you have to keep all the weed seeds from getting ahead of them. So you have to cultivate continually, which is okay, but that's just not necessary when we walk out with a transplant that we're going to be planting into a mulched prepared bed, whether it be biofilm or regular mulch, whatever you're doing. You don't have to work with the weeds, right? And it's a lot of work to do all that cultivation, especially if you're in business. All right, so now we have kale seeds, and they're dark, y'all. I can't hardly see them myself. I know you can't see them. I'm not going to do very many of these. I guess I have to do it right now that I've started. And when you're not on camera doing this, it goes so fast, y'all. My niece Kelly, who started out working for me about 15 years ago as a new mama, and she just wanted a job that she could stay home with her babies and only work part-time. She became my seed starter. She had never started seeds before. You wouldn't believe how many of those she was able to do. I'm just going to finish this row, y'all. So I'm touching my toothpick to the seed and just firmly pushing it down in the block because kale needs to be covered. And when you're using an aluminum seed pan, there's no static electricity, so you don't have to fight to get the dadgum seed out of there, right? All right, so that's all we're doing with that. I have to finish those. So let's make some big blocks. And I'm gonna sow, I think it's our zucchini. And it's borderline too early, but I wanted to show you how the difference between using the small block and the large block. And zucchini is a big seed. It's not even an option to go into the small block, right? So let's do that. And again, I want to say the whole thing that stimulated me to come on here and to Seed Start on Instagram on a Saturday afternoon is I haven't done this in a really long time. But we're running a great special over in our app store, not on our website, y'all. And you have to comment app here to get and download, go to your DMs, get it, download our free app. It's the Gardener's Workshop shop, and go in there, and inside the soil blocking set, which is just the 2 tools and the inserts, is on sale. And then we are also offering, if they're still in stock, the complete soil blocking kit, seed starting kit. Takes you from making the soil block to planting it out in the garden, the grow light, the heat mat, the row cover, the fertilizer, the burlap I use to lay on top, and everything in between that you need. So I knew that you wouldn't know about that unless I came on here to tell you. All right, so this is my tub. And if you're just joining us, I'm demonstrating soil blocking. And the blocking mix we feel like is key. You know, it is living soil. It's based on compost, peat moss, and some nutrients. We have it ready-made, or we have the recipe that's ready, available for you can make it at home. But you need a really dense mix to make blocks that really support and keep blocks moist. I mean, what you use to make your blocks out of aren't just about holding together. It's also about delivering moisture, keeping the blocks moist, and just delivering the nutrients and growing an amazing root system. And so I've been showing off one of my, this is a eucalyptus. This is a polyanthumus. This will be planted out in 2 weeks. It's about 3 months old, 12 weeks old. And it was started in the small block, and then I bumped it up. We don't do this much. We do this on eucalyptus, peppers, eggplant, and tomatoes, so that we can have a bigger, more mature transplant to go to the garden, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Look at the roots on this little baby. So if this had been in a container for 3 months, it would have already been root bound, right? And that's, eucalyptus is just a slow grower. There is no speeding that up, right? So soil blocking is just a really super way to do that. So that is our eucalyptus. So the other reason that we use the large blocker is when the seed is big. So we are going to start, I have it here somewhere. We're going to start some zucchini, our green machine. And this is the 2-inch blocker. And it comes with actually a little white nipple on it to make an indentation to receive a large seed. However, because we often use it for what, my dog is being bad. He's trying to steal stuff. What's the matter, buddy? Because we use it to bump up mostly, I put these black inserts on, which is part of the set that's on special, by the way, to make that indentation to move a 3/4 inch up to a 2-inch. Well, I don't take this off, and I'll show you how I use this to sow seeds, and it works out really well. All right, so let me do this so you guys can see me. Now, the technique for the large blocker is a little bit different than the small blocker, and it takes a lot more soil, and you'll see that. So you push it down, and you just, what's more vulnerable, because this is kind of higher than normal, y'all, I'm having trouble holding the tray still. It takes a lot of volume of soil, and it's the 2 end blocks that can be a little tough to be sure they get really full. That's why you do this back and forth motion. And then the same thing, you use your potato masher to just strike off so the bottom's flat. And again, see, I mean, we use these trays over and over and over again, y'all. They are not meant to be disposable. So I just place the blocker on the tray, give it a push and a pull. And friends, we just made 4 containers that simple. And I want to also mention, notice my hands still aren't dirty. This does not have to be a messy job, which really makes your hands get gritty and sore. So there's 4, and we just need to make 4 more. If I don't dump the tray with the 2 inches on it, it'll be a miracle, y'all. Kind of working in a different spot here. And so this blocking mix, as you may or may not be able to see, is really moist. I'll show you the back side of this. You can see water actually squeezes up in the top of this, and that's what I'm always looking for. So you just strike off the bottom, and let's grab the tray without dropping it, placing the blocker. And again, I'm not placing them right up against each other. You want water to be able to flow. And there you go. We just made 8 containers that quickly, right? So let me show you, maybe we can, I need like a staff here, y'all. A staff of swappers. Let me see if I can do this. How's this? Pretty good, right? All right, so now we're gonna plant zucchini, which is a bigger seed, right? And so I am literally just gonna drop a zucchini into each hole. You know, zucchini needs to be covered. And again, you can sow zucchini out in the garden, but we plant into film, which is mulch, a mulched environment, and we don't plant seeds in that environment. That is, you know, works with transplants. So we walk out with a transplant, plug it in, and there is no cultivation required, right? So we have our seeds in there, see that? Now we need to cover them. And what I do for this, I did not bring, stand by y'all, look at my background there, how pretty it is, right? That's my sister. So, you know, I get all the reject products to use here on the farm, some of which were some really crooked wooden stakes. So what I usually do is just pick up a blob of soil, and that's a little bit more than I get. I'm trying not to get my hands dirty, y'all. And literally just drop a little blob of soil, the moistened mix, right on top of your seed, and that does the blooming job. I mean, it's so quick and easy. And you know, again, the reason I feel like we have such a huge sprouting success is, in my experience, because the blocks dry out in a 24-hour period, which really encourages growth, because when your blocks are dry, y'all, the roots are then getting oxygen, which is just as important as water is. We counsel a lot of people that keep their stuff too wet all the time, and that is not good. Your blocks or any plant needs oxygen, right? So just that quick, I just made 8 2-inch containers, planted the seeds and covered them up. And these, just like the peppers that we sowed, are gonna go straight in onto the seedling heat mat. So here's the story of why you need a heat mat, right? That is probably, you know, I've been teaching seed starting for, I don't even want to think how long, 23 years or something. And most often before online started, right? I mean, y'all, I started farming before the internet was really going. That's kind of crazy to think. But it was in person. You know, I would go do master gardener groups and home and garden shows and just conferences and all that kind of mess. And I would say the most resisted step in seed starting, that is a key piece of success, is the seedling heat mat. Because what people just don't understand is that most seeds, it's not every seed, most seeds sprout between 75 and 85 degrees. And what that means is they get the signal to break dormancy, and that little embryo inside starts to develop, right? When you give it warmth and moisture, that triggers that whole cycle to start, right? So you're probably sitting there thinking 75 degrees? She said 75 to 85. Well, shoot, my house is 70. I bet I could find a little warm spot somewhere in my house, right? Friends, Think about this. You're talking about air temperature. I'm talking about soil temperature, the mass of soil. And in general, air temperature is the mass of soil temperature is typically 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the air temperature. So if your house is 70, that means your soil matter is 55 degrees, which explains why 95% of people that struggle with getting seeds to start inside that don't use a heat mat, that's the missing ingredient. And that's what really drove me to create the complete seed starting set kit is exactly that. The word complete, it means it has everything you need, including 5 packs of seeds. And, it's just, we spend so much time trying to not buy a seedling heat mat while we're just wasting seed after seed. And even the expense isn't the worst part. It's people give up, right? They throw in the towel and think this whole seed's, you just don't even know how many people, when people just see my logo when I go out in public, you know what's the number one thing people say to me? Because our tag is the Gardener's Workshop, turning all thumbs green. Our logo doesn't say that, but it's just so hysterical when people see our logo. You know what they say? I have a brown thumb. They say that all the time. And the brown thumb is that we just didn't know what the steps were. It is so simple to start seeds, y'all, when you actually give them what you want. And that's what we try to create in the complete seed starting kit. And so the deal with that is in the app only till tomorrow morning, Sunday morning at 8 a.m. It has reduced shipping, meaning it's capped at $9.95. You don't pay the additional shipping, which is normally charged over on our website, because in fact, it costs that much more for us to sell it. So it's like it's kind of on sale, and would love for you to check that out. It is to get in the app, to shop inside the app. You can comment app here, or you can simply go to your phone's app store and search Gardener's Workshop. And in fact, we have 2 apps. There's the shop app, which is where you'll find what I'm talking about. That's our garden shop. And in there, the soil blocker set is 20% off. The complete kit is in there, which normally isn't because it's capped at $9.95 shipping. Normally the shipping, I think, is like $19 to $28, depending on where you live. We're in Virginia. So if you really want to start seeds, and I will tell you, after I went to the plant store, I had to do a little project for somebody. I had to go and buy plants. I guess it's been 4 weeks ago. It was cool season stuff. I'm telling you, the cost of the kit, which is like $270 or something, you can drop that on 1 cart of plants at the nursery. I'm not kidding. And I understand why they cost so much. It's fuel and everything else. But I want you to get in on those specials if you want them. And you can get that by commenting app or go to your app store and searching Gardener's Workshop. And the other app that's in there is our learning app, and you can download that, and there's a free online course inside there waiting for you if you'd like it. So the Learn app is home base to my membership, the Flower Farmer Club. If you're in that, that's what that's all about. And then also, if you own any online courses from us, that's where you'll find them. But even if you don't have either one of those and you download our Learn app, the Building a Trellis Tunnel course is sitting in there waiting for you. That's like your little reward for actually downloading it. And if you are using one of our apps and enjoying it, we would love for you to drop a review on your phone's app store so other people know that it's okay to actually get it, right? So I just wanted to show these again. This is some of our basil mix. This is lemon and cinnamon. And I made this for demos, right? Because I'm always teaching and doing lives and stuff. So these are really, we can't plant this kind of stuff outside for at least 2 to 3 more weeks. So these little guys will probably never make it to the garden. But man, y'all, lemon basil, oh my gosh, it's just so great. But this is a great example. This is 20 plants on this little 5 and a quarter inches square that were sown in this block, grown in this block, and would be planted out in the garden from this block. That is like streamline efficiency so much. And I'm again gonna pick, so if I was out in the garden and getting ready to plant this tray, this is how I would pick them up, because they have a nice little canopy, right? My hand's gonna get dirty doing this. And literally, I just break the blocks off. And look at that, y'all. Look at those roots. That is phenomenal. And if this was in a container, they'd be totally wound up. So one of the things about soil blocks that is a feature that is totally true. I mean, I believed it in the beginning and we've experienced it. They suffer no transplant shock. And here's the reason why. When this is grown in a container, these roots would be already wrapped, right, around, because they hit the wall of the container and start spinning around. Well, when you go to plant that plant, you definitely have to unwind those roots to liberate them, right? Well, we don't realize it, but that actually stresses the plant. And that's what kind of like makes them set back. They like, instead of growing right away, they're like recovering from you doing that, which you're supposed to do. Whereas when you plant a soil blocked plant, literally they hit the ground running. And I've experienced it. I mean, when we were in competition at the farmer's market with other growers, I was always the first to market with specific crops. And it was because they either conventional transplanted or direct sown, and I soil blocked. And our plants just got going really, really quick. So it's super easy. And I will tell you also, as a grower, that when we were planting upwards of not only seed starting 100,000 seedlings a year throughout the seasons, that's all getting planted also. We can plant soil blocked plants so much quicker than pulling stuff out of plug trays. In a plug tray, you really have to let a plant get more size to it so it has more of a root ball so you can pull it out. And you can plant soil blocks stuff and handle them earlier, and younger plants tend to adapt better and quicker than olders do. Just like how a 6-year-old would learn French, they would never teach me French, being an old person now, right? So younger is really a whole lot better. And then I also just wanted to mention, for any of you guys that are starting, we grow tons of celosia on our flower farm. And a frequent flyer problem question is how the seed of celosias and snapdragons are another offender. Hold on, see how you can see the seed is still kind of holding on there? First off, whether you do something about it or not, it's going to be fine. They're just going to keep on growing and it'll just outgrow that problem. But what I typically do, I wished I'd brought them in here. I didn't. I have a pair of Joyce Chin shears that live in my grow room. I'll just snip one side of the seed of the leaf and it just liberates it. But that comes from during the sprouting process, the hull just not being moist enough. And that's one of the reasons that when we sow our seeds onto the soil blocks, we then put them onto the seedling. Now my hand's dirty, y'all, from breaking those blocks apart. So I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, seed hull, right? So we put these, I'll take these trays in, put them on the seedling heat mat in there. Then we have wide weave burlap, which we have that on our app if you need that too. We don't use plastics and domes. You know, when I learned from Elliot Coleman how to soil block 30 years ago, one of the things that he talked about is how easy, there's nothing wrong with using domes, it's just easy to induce diseases and fungus like dampening off in that environment because it traps so much moisture. And because, y'all, I am so not a helicopter seed starter, meaning I go into my grow room first thing in the morning when we come out to work. I water, I move stuff around if it needs to be moved, from heat mat to grow light out to the carport, whatever. I do everything. I don't even think about that grow room again until the next morning. So I'm not really monitoring anything in there, I've just kind of got it set up and learned how to manipulate that. So hey, good morning. So the burlap allows air circulation, but yet it traps some moisture, right? It's the same reason that you see them put burlap down on lawns and stuff, right? When they're seeding them. So I have found that to be really, really true. So when you give it great soil to sprout in, give it some warmth, give it some moisture, and keep the air circulating all at the same time, you get amazing germination. And again, I'll show, so these are the 3-day-old Gumpfrinas that were taken off of the heat yesterday morning, I think is when I did it. This is Audra White. I still don't understand why the foliage is red looking, but it is. This is the Audra White. If you grow Gumpfrina, we love the Audra variety. Its habit is so much easier to cut. But these are 3 days old Gumpfrina. So they're under the grow lights in there, just really happy. And again, look at these guys. So when you get the complete seed starting kit, which is the one I've been talking about that's available over in the app through tomorrow, it comes with my seed starting course of me taking you from beginning to end of soil blocking, as well as direct sowing out in the garden, as well as planting sunflowers in plug trays, and also using the commercial soil blocker, the Swift blocker. So, you know, we are really just about really equipping people to be successful growing cut flowers. And if you want to grow cut flowers, you have to start from seeds. You will not find plants available because they don't sell tall growing plants in nurseries because homeowners don't want that, right? And it can be so simple and easy. And I find that the soil blocking method, because of its space savviness, really makes it simple and easy to do. So friends, I guess I need to get off here and finish sowing my seeds. I just hope that everybody is as excited about spring as I am. I just want to say that nobody is ever late starting stuff. That's another thing that I hear every single day. Oh, I'm so late. Friends, you aren't late. You just look at what you're supposed to be starting at that moment in time and get busy doing it and stop looking over your shoulder. And seed starting is a great example of that. So we've now switched from, we're done with cool season pretty much, and we're heavy into warm season stuff. We will be starting warm season seed succession planting through October probably. So friends, just get on board. It's not late. And I mean, it's not even spring yet for most of us, right? So again, inside our app, I do a live shopping show every Friday at 12 noon inside our app. Why the app? Well, the app allows us, just think QVC, but me with my stuff, like what I'm doing right now today, you would have been able to hit a button up at the top and just buy it and check out and go on about your business. And so we have this amazing online garden shop that I can do lives from. And that's what I'm doing on Fridays. You can go in and watch the replays. It's inside the shop app, which you can find at your phone's app store, or comment app here and we'll DM you the link to go get it. Download it. Takes about 30 seconds. It's free. And go in there, and it's just super fun. And in fact, it's gaining in popularity right up there with our website. It's pretty amazing how it's actually growing. And inside the app, every Friday we announce a deal of the day and have a special. And it's good until Sunday morning at 8 a.m. This week, the special is the soil blocking tool set. That's the large blocker and the small blocker, and the inserts are on sale 20% off. That's not on our website. It's only in the app. And also the complete seed starting kit, which is all the soil blocking stuff, the heat mat, the grow light, the fertilizer, the row cover, the burlap, I said fertilizer, the timer for the light. It has everything you need. Row cover, did I say that? All in one kit. And the kit has my course in it, the small blocker, the blocking mix, the seed pan, everything you need is in there. And I could be wrong, but I think it's $280 with only $9.95 shipping. That's the special. Normally the shipping is 2 to 3 times that because that's how much it costs us to ship it. So go check it out, friends. Get inside the app and then meet me on Fridays. Once the flowers start, that's the whole point of that show, what it was kind of born out of, for me to be able to show you in real time what the harvest is each week. And that's about to get started. We're on the brink here of starting to bloom. So spend your Fridays with us, and would love to see you there. And friends, thank you so much for joining me here today. And get inside the app and check it out. And if you need seed starting supplies, this is your weekend to actually pick those up. So friends, till we meet again, ciao.